Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise. Tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's practice is all about taking stock of yourself. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to begin today's practice coming into a seat, preferably thunderbolt. So a kneeling seat onto the heels. You can assist by opening up the legs, putting a block or a pillow in between and taking a seat on your prop. You're going to relax the hands, palms down or palms up. You can even take a mudra, taking the thumb to one of your fingers. Find what feels good for you right now. We're going to start with a little Kapalbhati breath, inhaling and exhaling exclusively through the nose. We're going to breathe at a 1-to-1 inhalation to exhalation ratio, focusing on allowing the belly button to relax out as you take an inhale in. And when you exhale, squeeze the belly button into center so that you're using your lower belly to make a pumping like breath. And you're going to give yourself between 10 to 15 pumping breaths. You're going to give yourself a recovery breath, and you're going to try to complete 3 rounds. Begin when you're ready. Close the eyes, take your focus in. After your last round of your Kapalbhati breath, you're going to bring yourself into child's pose, either keeping the legs in a narrow parallel-like stance, or you can think big toes together, knees slightly wider. So don't be afraid to experiment a bit. And we're going to take a nice long stretch with those arms on the mat, pressing into our palms, stretching all the way through the arms to the shoulders and the pecs. Then let's begin to find a revolving thread stretch, taking the right arm, threading it underneath the left, sliding through for a moment, and then coming back to center to repeat dynamically side to side for a few rounds. The next time you find yourself threading the left arm underneath the right, pause here. Take a few deep breaths, looking for lateral expansion through the ribs. Then let's do the same to the second side, holding the thread once you've found it. Find your way back to center and ease your way from here into a 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. So if you did have your knees slightly wider, bring them back into parallel. Keeping as level as you can through the trunk. So think shoulder line all the way through the trunk to the pelvic line. We are going to extend the left leg out behind us, and we're going to keep nice and level through the trunk. Replicate the stretch on the right. And then float those two extended limbs up into table and pause here in the stretch for a slow count of 10, reaching as long as you can through the fingertips and the toes. Keeping your belly button pulled in and your gaze softly down on the mat. Tap to change sides. Keeping as level as you can through the trunk. tap to the mat, and find your way back to 4-point kneeling. Repeat the opposite arm and leg stretch on the first side, finding your way into table, and then tapping to the mat and back 10 times, keeping that long stretchy line through the neck and the spine. End in the tap, and then trace across the midline for the outer edges of the mat with your fingertips and your toes on the extended limbs. Find your way back to 4-point kneeling to repeat on the second side. Setting your neutral tabletop line and then tapping to the floor and back to your control line, not throwing your limbs through the control line. End in the tap, trace across the midline, hold the stretch. Lead your way back to find that stretch one last time on the first side, opposite arm and leg. And then grab a hold of the left elbow, or you can hold higher up along the tricep with your right hand and find your tabletop line on the back leg. Begin to tap dynamically, keeping that hold on the mat with your grounding hand and knee. This time, end in the tabletop line on the back leg. Hold the stretch, looking for balance, looking for control. Belly button pulled into center. Then change sides. Finding your grasp position, looking for that balance, looking for control. We're going to end in the tabletop position, hold it. Then find your way from here back into 4-point kneeling. We're going to thread dynamically on the right, taking the right arm up to the sky, threading through to tap your ear to the mat, and reach for the sky again, maybe 4 or 5 times, keeping belly to spine as you thread through and come to rest on the side of your head. So you're playing with a slight rotation through the trunk as you look up to the sky and then the opposite direction to thread. We're going to end in the thread, hold it. Maybe creeping your left fingertips towards the top end of the mat, as far as they will go, keeping your wrist and your palm off the mat and pressing into the pads of all 5 fingers. Keep belly to spine throughout. Find your way from here back to 4-point kneeling to repeat on the second side. Taking your left arm up to the sky and then threading dynamically 4 or 5 times. We're going to end in the threaded position. We're going to hold it. Maybe creeping your right fingertips towards the top end of the mat, finding your high, almost spider-like fingertip press into the mat. Lead your way back into 4-point kneeling, keeping the arms long and extended or dropping down onto the forearms, arms in parallel or stacking or fisting. We're going to come to some hydrant play. So we'll open up the right knee to the side of the room and back a few times. We'll repeat on the left. Find your way to a tall kneeling frame and let's release through the wrists, painting your arms up, down, out to the side and back, up, down, side, front, up, down, out, middle, up, down, out. In one last time. Back to that 4-point kneeling frame. This time we're going to step back into a plank line and we're going to try to repeat that same hydrant. So let's play right side first. So from your 4-point kneeling frame, step the left leg back. Then start a hydrant, open and drop your right knee. Try to end in the open position, hold it. Then drop the right knee to the floor softly. Keep the foot off the mat, almost bringing the foot in closer towards the midline. And then lift the whole left leg up and see if you can rest that leg on the right foot. So you're almost making a little table with your right foot and then resting the left leg on it. Hold. Then let's repeat on the second side. So coming back to 4-point kneeling, extending the right leg as if you want to come into plank, anchoring yourself, and then starting to play with that hydrant open and close on the left. End in the open position. Then relax your left knee to the floor. Keep the left foot off. Almost bring the foot in closer towards the midline. Make a little table to rest your right leg. Find your way from here back to your tall kneeling frame and let's paint with the wrists and the hands. One up, one down, open, close. Up, down, open, close. One more time. Back to your 4-point kneeling frame. We're going to trace some hydrant circles. So we'll take the right knee out to the side and back. Keep moving in the same direction. Change sides. Then let's repeat, but this time from the plank line. So step your left leg back and then start to circle out on the right. Five or six traces on one side and then changing to the second side. Find your way from here back into your tall kneel. We're going to release those wrists. Think of floating the wrists up, down, out, and in. From here, we're going to find our way to a side plank hold. Think 4-point kneel. Engage your core and step your legs back into a plank. Let's knife edge the feet to the right, keeping the hips up nice and high. Left arm floats to the sky, or you can relax it to your waist or your hip. If you're feeling strong, you can maybe stack the legs one on top of the other. Hold. Let's rinse and repeat on the second side. Keeping that core strong throughout, knife edge your feet to the left. Keep those hips up nice and high and set up the side plank hold that works for you. You could even bend and anchor on your bottom knee and extend the top leg. Find your way from here back into 4-point kneeling. Let's release those wrists one last time. Think up, down, out, and in for maybe 5 rounds. Find your way back to 4-point kneeling. Let's take a little down dog stretch, bending the knees to tap to the floor and then down dogging. We'll do that maybe 5 times. Ending in the down dog frame and just giving me a walking down dog, keeping a forward tracking knee pattern as we start to wake up the back chain of the legs. We're going to end with one knee bent and the other leg extended, pausing in the stretch. Then pedaling out for a few. Before holding that stretch on the other side. So one knee bent, other leg extended. Then coming up high onto the tips of our fingers, we're going to walk the legs forward. We're going to soften the knees. We're going to stack the forearms, holding onto the wrists and maybe the elbows. And we're going to find a ragdoll side to side sway. Extending the leg you're rotating towards and bending the other one. Come to stillness, center aligned, and start to straighten up the back chain of your legs, coming into a tabletop stretch and framing your head with your arms. Softening the knees, maybe thinking chair, and then morphing your chair into a mountain, keeping those stacked arms framing your head. Elbow points start to reach for the sky. Tuck your tailbone underneath the carriage of your trunk and come into some palm tree play here, making one elbow heavy to the floor, reaching the other one for the sky, breathing into the open side of your ribs, coming back to center and starting to find an alternating side to side stretch, settling into a rhythm of your own. We're going to end center aligned. We're going to keep those arms framing our head and we're going to step back into a warrior one. Let's lead right leg in front. So you're thinking lunge-like frame. Lead leg is bent and the back leg is angled in slightly at 45. Take a moment to settle in, wiggle, walking the legs into position and distributing the weight equally on the lead and the back leg. Then let's look for more opening through the pelvis by finding our way into a high lunge. Starting to lift the back heel off the floor and wiggle walking the back foot away so that you can get more drop down through the pelvis. Pause in your high lunge. And then relax your back knee to the floor, but keep the toes tucked under and start to curve slightly through the spine, looking up towards the sky. Then paint both hands to the floor, either side of the lead leg. We're coming into a one-legged plank. So we're going to lift the back knee off the floor. We're going to sweep the right leg back, but we're going to keep it floating at hip height. Then think of that work that we did yesterday when we were hot potato jumping over the block. So you're going to cross over the midline with the right leg to rest on the left leg. You're going to hold that plank. Or you're going to look for a modified up dog by bumping your hips through the plank line with control. So strong shoulders, strong arms, strong belly. Try to keep this cross-legged position as you find your way into a down dog stretch. So beginning to pike your bum up to the sky, holding the belly button in. Then start to walk your legs forward towards your hands. You could maybe come onto the tips of your fingers. We're taking little audacious steps forward. We're going to find the parallel leg line. We're going to soften our knees. We're going to bend the arms. We're going to hold on to the forearms. And we're going to find our ragdoll sway side to side. Knees are soft and bendy. Then come to stillness center line. Start to straighten the legs and bleed up into a tabletop stretch, thinking of framing your head with your arms. A long stretch through the entire line of the back. Then start to think chair. Morph your chair into mountain. And then start to find your palm tree. Let's call it an elbow drop. Side to side, keeping that frame of your head. Keeping your tailbone tucked underneath the carriage of your trunk. Let's come to stillness center line and we'll find our warrior one on the second side, stepping the right leg back, taking a moment to settle into the pose. We're keeping that frame of the head. Breathing into the front of your chest. Then high lunge as you bring the back heel off the floor and start to wiggle, walk the back leg away, getting more drop down through the pelvis. Relax your back knee to the floor. Keep your toes tucked under and start to arch slightly through the spine, looking up to the sky, opening up through your throat center, your Vishuddhi chakra, and your chest center, your Anahata chakra. Then paint both hands to the floor. Bring your back knee off the floor and sweep your left leg back to hover it at hip height as you come into a one-legged plank. Hold steady, strong through the arms, core engaged. Now jump the wall and rest your left leg on top of the right. Hold your modified one-legged plank or start to drop the hips through the plank line with control and find a modified up dog. Try to keep the cross of your legs and bleed your way into a down dog. Release from here into child pose, legs in parallel, or you could do toes together, knees wide. We're just going to wrap the arms around the body as we take that seat. Stay here, pressing consciously into your third eye, that little spot between the two eyebrows, or maybe you'd like to rock through the forehead, side to side. Come to stillness. Breathe. We're going to find our way from here into a down dog frame. Then bump to sky, settle into the stretch, trying to anchor through both heels as best you can, and pause here, holding, stretching from your hip line to the heels of your feet. Then think tailbone all the way through the length of the spine towards your neck. Then think long stretchy line from your shoulders towards the heels of your hands. Stay here, or let's play on the right by softening the right knee and kicking up into a three-legged dog. We're going to work with a soft reaching toe line on the right today, keeping as square as you can through the hips at first. And then maybe arching the dog by bending your right knee, opening the knee out to the side of the room, mimicking that hydrant we played with early on, arching through the spine and looking over the left shoulder for that hanging foot. Stay here or find your way into a three-legged table by pivoting on your grounding foot, dropping your hanging foot to the floor and thinking belly to sky. Kamaktrasana, wild thing. Lead your way into a one-legged plank from here, so we're going to float the right leg. Then think knee up plank on the right and hold it, so find that contraction in the abs. And then think about how you can use this line to find your way into a pigeon. Drape your right leg to the floor, finding the angle on the lead leg that works. And then release the back knee, shin and foot, and just give me a small walk back on that back leg. We're going to open up the hands nice and wide, and we're going to assume a high spinal fingertip position. And then we're going to undulate down and up, as if you were taking a bow towards the mat and back, conditioning into the hands by keeping the wrists and the palms off the mat. We're going to end low. And then we're going to drop down onto a tripod forearm position, stacking the hands one on top of the other, or fisting the hands. Try to center your body weight and just breathe here for a few. Keeping your belly button softly pulled into center. Find your way from here back to an extended arm line. Tuck your back toe under. Knee up plank on the right. And then maybe kick up that right leg behind you and then swing through into a low lunge, relaxing the back, knee, shin and foot to the floor. Making sure you've got knee over ankle on the lead leg. Walk your way up, pressing off your lead thigh. Keep that core strong and engaged, and look for balance as you open up the arms into a soft T-like aeroplane. Then begin to rotate your right palm up towards the sky. Arc and frame your head, and then start to drop your left wing and look towards your falling left wing. Hold. Come back to your aeroplane arms. Rotate your left palm so that it's looking up to the sky. Arc and frame your head with your left arm. And then start to drop your right wing and look for that falling wing. Find your way back to your aeroplane arms. And then maybe relax your hands to the floor. Slide your lead leg back, coming into a tall kneel. Feet could be relaxed or tucked under. You're going to loosely stack the arms behind your back, looking to hold on to the wrists or the forearms. You're going to make those arms heavy on your lower back, and you're going to curve your spine around the arms, coming into a modified camel. Shoulders beginning to melt from your ears, stretching into the quads, hip flexors, belly, chest, throat. Restack into a tall kneel, relaxing your arms heavy at your side and nodding your chin to your chest. We're going to find our way into a haunch line from here. Start to tuck your toes under, maybe relaxing bum to heels. Fingertips come to the floor. Start to bring your knees off the floor. You can either keep fingers on the floor or you're going to look for balance on the haunches, bringing your hands to prayer and creating a pocket of quiet control. We're going to come to a fold from here, and it could either be a table fold or you could think head to floor. So straightening up the legs, either stopping in table or starting to drop your crown to the floor, keeping your hands in prayer, or maybe you'd like to reach for the back of your calves and hold that stretch. Looking for that rush of blood as the head inverts. We're going to find our way from here back into our down dog, so you can walk your hands forward. Settle into the stretch. Stretch arms, stretch spine, stretch legs. Breathe. Let's play on the left. Soften the left knee. Kick up the left leg behind you. We're going to work with a soft reaching toe line for our three-legged dog today. Then maybe starting to bend the left knee, starting to drop the foot to the right. Knee opens up to the left. Arch slightly through the spine and look over the right shoulder for that hanging foot. Stay here or begin to pivot on your anchoring back foot. Finding your way into a three-legged table, engaging your glutes and thinking belly to sky. Hold it. Open up through your chest center. We're going to find our way from here into a one-legged plank. Left leg is going to assume that hovering position. Then think knee up plank on the left. Hold it. Then drop your left leg to the floor and set up the pigeon line, a high pigeon line. Taking those hands wide, coming onto the tips of your fingers. And once you square through the line of the trunk, you can start to play with it, undulating bow down. And you can even give me more movement from the neck. Looking for a little release into the neck. We're going to end in the bow. Drop down into the forearms from here. Crossing the palms or maybe fisting them. And just pausing here for a moment. Breathe. Find your way from here back onto the palms. Tuck your back toe under, find your way back into your three-legged dog. And then use it to do a swing through lunge step, relaxing the back knee, shin and foot, and walking your way up into a low lunge. Once you're centered, open up into aeroplane arms. Rotate your left palm up towards the sky. Arc and frame your head. Start to drop your right wing and look for that falling wing. Center your aeroplane arms. Rotate your right arm, palm up. Arc and frame your head. Start to drop your left wing and look for that falling wing. Recenter your aeroplane. Drop your fingers to the mat and step back into a high kneeling frame. Stacking your arms behind you and almost rounding out over those stacked arms. Finding your way into a modified camel stretch. Breathing into your throat center, breathing into your chest center. Then realign shoulders, hips, knees, relaxing your arms heavy at your side. Find your way into your haunch balance. Tuck your toes under, sit back bum to heel. Peel your heels off the mat. See if you can center your hands in prayer. And just be for a moment. Take a fold, either into table, or dropping your head through the table line, or reaching for the back of your calves. We're going to find our way from here into a thunderbolt seat. Sitting back, bum to heel, and then drop onto your right bum. Slide the legs out from underneath you and reposition yourself coming into a mermaid line. So we've got front leg bent, knee and ankle could be in a straight line, or you could be tucking closer to the perineum, and then tuck the back knee into the lead foot and wiggle your bum around on the mat till you're nicely centered with your body weight. We're going to take the left hand and we're going to reach for the right ribs and we're going to flip the left hand palm up. You're going to close your eyes, take your focus in, take an inhale for a slow count of 6 as you angel wing the left arm up towards the sky, maybe arcing and framing your head. And then exhale for 6 as you float the arm back down. Keep your eyes closed and your focus inward. We're going to do that twice more, increasing our count by 2 every time. Big breath in for 8. Feel the right side of your ribs expanding underneath your left arm. Arc and frame. And then exhale for 8 as you bleed your way back down. One more time, this time working at a 10 to 10 ratio. Then gently opening your eyes and changing the cross of your legs so that we can repeat on the second side. Set up your mermaid frame and take a moment to just wiggle in. Relax your hands alongside the body, palms up, and then maybe use your right hand to hold onto your left ribs. Close your eyes, take your focus inward. Start to inhale for 6 as you float the left arm up to arc and frame. And then bleed back down on the exhale for 6. Next round, bump that count up to 8. Last round, work at a 10-to-10 ratio. Find your way from here into a soft diamond seat. Think relaxed butterfly, soles of the feet together, knees wide, arms relaxed alongside the body, palm up. Inhale for 6 as you angel wing the arms up, eyes closed, focus inward. Exhale for 6 as you angel wing back down. Shoot for a count of 8 on the next one and bring the palms closer together on the midline and see if you can touch the pads of each finger to its partner on the opposite side of the body. Angel wing back down for 8. One more time for 10, and this time we're going to look for an active prayer press into the palms overhead. Exhale as you softly bring the hands down along the midline to end with your prayer hands in front of your heart. Stay here in your diamond seat, or maybe tuck into easy sit, Sukhasana, or a half lotus line. Find what feels good for you today. Close your eyes and take your focus inward. You could also fall onto the back and find your way into corpse pose. However you decide to seat yourself on the mat, close your eyes and start to focus on the pattern of your breath, focusing on the rhythm of the inhale and the exhale, trying to breathe exclusively through your nose. As you take a long inhale in, eat up all your anxieties and your fears. As you take a long exhale, let them go. Look for peace, look for calm. Keep that rhythm going, inhaling in your fears and anxieties, and exhaling calm and peace. Keep that rhythmic, calming breath pattern going, and then internalize the truth of the next few words. Make time daily to take stock of the positives that constitute you. List the things that you're thankful for. List the things that you're proud of. List the ways that you take care of yourself. List the ways that you take care of others. List the things that you contribute towards. And here, time trumps money. Take the time to take stock, reevaluate, make each day count. With those thoughts, let's simply end off our practice today by nodding chin to chest and internalizing the words Shanti, peace within, peace without. Thank you so much for taking time to come and take stock with me. Till next time, Keep it light.